I'm a girl who can play video games, but I'm obviously going to lose and laugh about it as he talks about raping my body.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jay with the Zock Gaming Podcast. Joining me tonight is Donovan.
Hey, guys.
And Josh of Missouri.
Well, hey, howdy, hey.
Every goddamn time.
Every single person in Missouri, I speak for all of you.
Oh, man.
Awesome. So tonight, it's going to be our E3 special. We've already seen a whole lot so far, and we're going to need to talk about it. So first of all, we're going to talk about what we've been playing lately, as with every other podcast we do. Donovan, what have you been up to lately?
Oh, God, I've been slacking, dude. I am not going to lie. I have only been playing Dota. Well, I guess that's not entirely true. I've been playing Borderlands as well, but I've been playing a lot of Dota. I mean, MOBA, but seriously, like, I don't know if any of you guys are in on it, but they just released the next patch. I think it's 6.72. It might be 6.78. I've been wrong before. Don't quote me on it. But they added 2 new heroes to the Dota 1 client, which means it translates into the Dota 2 client. So that's going to be exciting when they make it. And the Compendum's out and swinging, which I don't know if I've explained that to either of you guys. But there's like this big-ass tournament that they play for a couple $1 million each season, right? It's called the Internationals. And what they're doing for this Internationals is you can actually buy a digital Compendum, like a digital book, to go with it. And it holds like all of the stats, and you can make predictions and things like that. But the other cool thing about it, yeah, it's really sick, dude. It's like an interactive book.
It is pretty cool. I'm aware of what
Esports
it is. It's actually pretty. It's a pretty cool system. I
like it a lot. But not only that, it's they're doing like a sort of Kickstarter-ish thing where a percentage of each Compendum sold goes into the prize pool, right? And there's like a reward tier for depending on how big the prize pool gets. So I got it pretty much right when it came out, and since then I also got a free courier, a free HUD skin, and 6 taunts. So I've seriously, so much Dota. It's so bad. Especially since...
If I remember right, the prize pool for the tournament itself is up to almost $3 million.
Jesus Christ. Where does that money come from?
$2,300,000.
That's the Compendium sales, a lot of it. I mean, Valve themselves put forward quite a bit.
Yeah, I think they put up $1 million.
But the Compendium sales... Every single purchase of it, part of that goes into the prize pool for the actual tournament players. It's up to like $2.9 million.
Yeah,
it's insane.
It is.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
2.3. It's honestly a lot of fun.
Oh, is it?
Like being able to predict and be like, I think these people are going to win. This is how many blah 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 and blah blah blah.
It's basically kind of turning into like fantasy.
Yeah,
sports
it's really funny.
By way of
it's fantasy video game sports.
Dude,
Welcome to the future.
Have been evolving.
Yeah,
the way esports has been evolving is just insane, dude.
It's been going really quick. I mean, the companies are starting to take major notice that video games are a major part of our culture, and now they can stream them online. And I mean, these people are practically becoming celebrities.
That's a very good way of putting it. I mean, especially if you look at the Eastern Oceanic region, like what their esports scene has been like for the past decade since StarCraft. I mean, it's really just sort of spreading out like a virus, like an awesome nerdy virus.
It kind of almost started with StarCraft, where you have Slayer's Boxer of the original StarCraft, who was basically his own celebrity in Korea. He had commercial deals. People knew who he was. You have Daigo Umehara from Japan, the most well-known Street Fighter player ever. And then now it's basically hitting the West, and it's taking off like wildfire. I mean, it used to just be a couple dudes streaming local tournaments for whatever. And now you have actual sponsors, you have money channeling in, you have all sorts of things.
It's pretty ridiculous, dude. Like the fact that I can go out to like the mall or somewhere and say the name Dyrus, and people around me instantly recognize it as a League of Legends professional player. Like, I mean, that's crazy to think about.
It is. I love the fact that, we grew up with video games, and now it's like all that stigma of, oh, you're a nerd that plays video games is just going away.
Well, it's the whole stigma.
It's awesome to see.
About video games being for kids is really what it comes down to. It's trying to, esports in a very serious way. It's just like, look, video games can be competitive and not just a toy,
Yes, and it's not just for sweaty nerds sitting in their basement all alone. No, this is a real thing.
But it is also for sweaty nerds sitting in their basements.
Oh, well, definitely.
As a sweaty nerd sitting in a basement, I can confirm.
If you've ever seen the League of Legends tournament broadcast, like the major ones, they are filling stadiums.
Oh my god. If you've seen any of the footage from the International 2s last year, the finals, it was Navi versus I want to say LCD. It was LCD. I could be wrong. It was some Chinese team, but
it wasn't Azubu, was it?
No, it wasn't Azubu. Azubu doesn't have a Dota team, but seriously, if you think the footage from the League of Legends tournament, the World Championship, was ridiculous, seriously, you can Google the play in quotation marks, like on YouTube, right? And it'll come up with a video from the International 2, and I mean, it's literally a filled stadium. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I love that kind of a change. I love seeing it kind of get in the spotlight because watching competitive games played at a really high level is really entertaining.
I know, it's super flashy. It's just, you can see a lot of skill and just all the gears firing. It's really impressive to watch. I like it a lot, but that's all I've been playing. I've been super boring. I've just been playing Dota. So
what have you been up to, Josh?
I've finally got around to start playing the new XCOM game, Enemy Unknown.
Dude, I actually just downloaded that for the PS3 today.
I'm
going to be playing it tonight.
I was very, very concerned going in. I am a rabid, frothing at the mouth original XCOM fan.
Really?
I am one of those vocal minorities that whenever they announced the one game that was supposed to be a first-person shooter, I was up in arms. I was loathing that game with every fiber of my being. But I was there for XCOM 1, Terror from the Deep, Apocalypse, and then they started doing shit like Interceptor and Enforcer, and it just crushed my soul. I am a huge XCOM fan. So when this first came out, I'm like, okay, Firaxis have a good pedigree. I'm not personally big on the Civilization games, but they're well put together. They're good games.
Oh, I love them.
So when I picked up this new XCOM game, I was like, this thing better do it right because I will nitpick the most minor of details. And while I do have some issues with it, it's actually pretty good.
There's a lot
I'm
of depth
definitely
to it.
enjoying it. I like that you can name your soldiers. One of my old habits is when I name all my soldiers after my friends.
My cousin does the exact same thing actually when he plays XCOM.
Because you're like, well, hey, you talk to your friend, like, hey, yeah, your dude just died by getting shot in the face 6 times by an alien. Way to be a team player, asshole.
Way to go, dude.
Yeah, or you're like, oh yeah, you misfired a rocket launcher and killed 2 of my squaddies. Good job, jerk. But it adds a level of commitment to the game. It sort of makes you actually care about your characters a little bit, or put them in highly dangerous situations. Sometimes depends on who you name them after. But it's actually, I mean, there are some minor gripes I have with the game, but overall, it kind of scratches that XCOM itch that I've had for a long time.
I was really impressed by the game. My only real complaints with it are, first off, those percent engines are lying bastards.
They are, but there's a reason for that. And basically, it knows the RNG seed. So if you take a shot, then load your game and take the same shot again, it will have the same effect. You have to do things in a different order to get a different outcome, which is fine because, I mean, honestly, the original XCOM was super, super easy if you just save scummed the whole thing.
Yeah, I don't like doing that. It's just it makes me so frustrating when you're literally two blocks away with a shotgun. And it's 95% chance to hit, and you miss, 3 turns in a row.
It's true, but it is just 95%. It's not 100.
Yeah, I just feel like it's stacked. But my other big problem, Overwatch is way imbalanced and a little bit buggy too. I multiple times have seen snipers take pot shots through walls, just no problem.
I've had aliens run right in front of my soldiers who were sitting on Overwatch and they never took a shot.
Yeah,
my main problem is the unit triggering. When you first see an enemy unit, they kind of move around the map as a unit, there'll be 3 mutons or something. And when you first actually get vision of them, then they move around and they become individual units. And that gives them an extra turn of movement. So it's...
I can see that. I never really thought of it like that.
I kind of played original XCOM style where I have basically a bunch of scouts and then snipers in the back of squad sight shooting at things from far away. But it's just the whole the triggering mechanic bugs me because the aliens don't really move around that much. It's almost like they're stationary targets, and then once you see them, then they move around. I actually like when it's hidden movement. It was what the original game called it. Aliens turn hidden movement. They actually move around. They do in this new XCOM, but really not as much.
Yeah, I'm glad that they don't do the whole thing where when you have one alien left, he just goes, runs, and hides in the corner.
That,
you know what I mean?
That was Terror from the Deep. The original XCOM UFO Defense wasn't as bad about that. Terror from the Deep most certainly was, but that was
God, it was so bad.
That was one thing in a laundry list of bullshit that Terror from the Deep threw at you.
Terror from the Deep got pretty bad reviews back in the day, if I remember correctly, compared to the original XCOM.
It did, but there's a couple reasons for that. Mostly it was the same game. I mean, it was the exact same engine. It was just everything
underwater.
It was rescanned. Everything was the same, and then they pumped up the difficulty to a ridiculous degree due to an original XCOM bug where it was
stuck in easy.
Yeah,
right?
Your difficulty choice doesn't matter. After you save and exit the game, it always reloads back into easy mode. And it took them forever to even know that bug existed. So they were basing Terror from the Deep difficulty off of the Superhuman from the original XCOM, which you basically couldn't play on. So they didn't know that. But so I finally did put some time into that. I'm with you here, Donovan. I did play Little Dota lately.
Well, before we get to Dota again, I actually did want to mention, since you brought it up, the first-person XCOM, right? They're still making it.
They are.
It's changed.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's
just a third-person squad now, and I still feel really mixed about it.
I was just watching footage of that earlier today.
It's not an XCOM game, pure and simple. It was another game. It was another project with a totally another name, and they decided, let's slap the XCOM name on it just for brand recognition for the few people that still remember what it is. And
maybe I'm just a tactics nerd, but it bugs me a lot.
It is, because it's not XCOM, and that's my problem with it.
Yeah, I was confused when I was watching the video of it. So it's a first-person shooter. It's
a third-person shooter now.
Yeah, it's a third-person action.
It's basic. It's kind of like a faster Rainbow Six or something like that.
Yeah,
it's kind of a squad-based third-person shooter set in like the 1950s. The only actual relation it has to XCOM is they threw in sectoids, which are the standard stereotypical grays of the aliens. Little dudes, big heads, big eyes. And then, you can apparently research, reverse engineer their technology, which is pretty intrinsic to every XCOM game.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the 1950s idea, though. That sounds pretty cool. I like games that take place, in the 50s and, 60s.
Cinematically it looks good.
I don't mind it, but it's not XCOM.
Yeah.
It's just not XCOM.
Yeah,
and
the video I watched didn't resemble anything I've ever seen with XCOM.
And to be honest, basically every single XCOM game they've made has been completely divorced from the original idea, and they're pretty much all downhill from the first one. And they should have realized, stop trying new weird things with XCOM. Make another good standard XCOM game, and then start getting weird again.
It's a tactics game, damn it. Leave it
alone. It was one
of
of the first grid-based strategy games. I mean, everything that Final Fantasy Tactics is, it owes to XCOM.
Oh, yeah.
When did the original came out,
1991,
or something like that?
I believe, by Microprose.
Jeez.
91, yeah. And
that's pretty nuts,
And to this day, it still plays pretty well. I mean, it's dated, but it's not a bad game at all. You could pick up and play it. Never having
graphically, it's kind of like Fallout 1, if I remember right. It looks like Fallout 1 sort of graphically.
A little worse, but yeah, it's that isometric kind of camera.
All things considered, Fallout 1 looked pretty good.
At the time. I mean, even to this day, it really doesn't age that badly as far as, you could look at an old SNES game and you're like, yeah, that still looks pretty good. It ages kind of like that. It has its own little style about it.
A lot of PC games, a lot of retro PC games seem to have that.
Yeah.
The look that just is completely timeless.
Yeah, it's because it established the genre much like the SNES did.
I think a lot of it, too, is when they moved up to 256 colors with SVGA cards. For instance, the difference between the NES and the Super Nintendo is the same as the difference between VGA and SVGA on PC. That change really made two-dimensional gaming just so much better because all the colors were just so much more rich.
Oh, yeah.
They almost seemed to glow by comparison.
You could give a 2D game depth.
Yeah. The move to SVGA was really one of the most fantastic things that ever happened in gaming.
I agree. I definitely agree. It's just, it makes a time, like I said, it's a timeless look. It doesn't really age poorly. It's very stylized, but it looks good no matter what. Speaking of SNES era, the other game I've been playing is Final Fantasy IV again. This time,
number 2.
Yes, American 2. This time the GBA version, because back in my past, the only thing I ever played was the SNES. And then the GBA version actually added some more stuff. Like whenever you fight the last boss, you have access to every character that you had originally. You don't just have your standard 5 at the end. You could pick and choose from the other people. And then there's post game stuff. There's the Lunar Ruins, the basically Cave of Trials kind of thing. Which
what console are you playing on?
Game Boy Advance. There's a DS remake, which adds even more. But I'm just Game Boy Advance.
Are you using the SP or the old Game Boy Advance?
I'm using my SP. I actually
nice. The SP was a great console.
I never actually did buy an original GBA. The first one I ever bought was the SP. SP is nice. The buttons they're like just clicky enough, and the backlighting's nice. Or actually, it's front lighting, but it's nice, and I love that thing.
Yeah, I just ended up I got a DS Lite for playing Game Boy Advance games.
Also good. Though I'm actually a bigger fan of the fat DS, just because I have larger hands. So
the pyramid.
The buttons are too close together on the fat DS. I always had huge issues playing it.
I generally kind of don't play a lot of like actiony games on the DS. I mean, I think the highest action game I ever played was the Castlevanias. So it's like mostly RPGs and stuff like that. So the
Metroidvania.
Love them to death.
So good.
They are quite good.
So Jay, what have you been playing lately? I mean, it pretty much covers me.
Actually, as talking about Metroidvania games, it actually is a great segue into what I've been playing. I've been playing Guacamelee a bit lately.
Oh, you did tell me about that briefly.
Yeah, I haven't beaten it. I actually got to a boss that I'm pretty sure I'm not able to beat. I'm just not good enough. I mean, I think I've spent about 2 hours trying to beat this. It's like this dude with this fire head, and I cannot beat him for the life of me.
Yikes.
Overall, though, Guacamelee is pretty cool. I mean, it's just another Metroidvania game, but it has really good style. The art's really awesome. It's really fluid. Like when you duck, there's probably only like 2 parts of animation between you being like up and down, so the movement's really quick, which makes the combat really cool. Besides that, as I said on the last podcast, I renewed my WoW account.
This man.
And I picked up Mists of Pandaria, and I've been rolling a panda monk, a Kung Fu panda.
Kung Fu panda. I think that says it all.
Oh, I don't know if you could hear that. That was the sound of my eyes rolling.
Overall, the monk classes, it's pretty cool. It's kind of like a druid, where you can pretty much tank, DPS, or heal.
Ooh.
I can't, like, with the whole new way that they have the talent structure in the game, though, I have no idea what it's even like to heal, because half the healing abilities you get from being in that talent structure. So, it seems like now, when you choose a path you want to take with your character, it really sets you in stone with that path, which is really interesting, and the whole new talent system is quite interesting. You only get it every 15 levels rather than every 2.
Yeah, I heard about that. That's actually one of my bigger problems, because, I mean, I quit World of Warcraft well before that. I quit right before Wrath of the Lich King. But I heard that they simplified the talent trees, and that you basically can't, you have to, if you start spending talent points in a tree, you're pretty much locked into that tree until you fill it.
You are absolutely locked into that tree.
Because I don't know how I feel about that, because it kind of kills creativity, but at the same time, World of Warcraft is always about finding the most efficient talent spec, and then it's the cookie cutter builds that everybody does it.
Yeah, so the numbers.
It kind of is like it bothers me that it kills the creativity, but it makes sense because people are just going to find the one thing that works anyway.
I haven't been playing my other characters too much because I really wanted to like relearn how to play the game, so that's why I'm playing this monk. From what I've noticed, at least with the talent tree with the monk, although you are locked into just one spec, pretty much, like, I mean, I'm not even sure what it would be like to play as a warrior. You probably could either just do DPS or tank and that's it. But with a druid-type class or monk or what I'm playing, you can vary it to certain extents. Like, they have this ability called Roll, which makes you just, like, it's kind of like, Charge that warriors have? So it makes your character roll, like, I don't know, like a couple yards ahead really quickly so you can, like, get into a battle because you don't really have any long-range attacks as a monk. And the first talent you get changes how roll works. And the way I spec'd it was that after I roll, I get a 50% movement boost for 10 seconds, which is pretty cool. But you can also have it set up so after you, so your roll cooldown goes down instead of having the extra run speed. So it does vary quite a bit, and it does definitely change how you play your character vastly based on these decisions you have to make every 15 levels.
15 levels just seems like
that was always one of my big problems with WoW and why I sort of stopped playing after Wrath of the Lich King is like when they reworked the Druid trees, just like grinding got so bad and so boring, and I just felt like my skill, like there wasn't any weight to my skill points. It felt like I was spending them in nothing, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And my concern is if I was doing something every 15 levels, while it would happen, that would be sweet when I would get them, but those, 14 levels in between would just be like slit my wrist boring.
That's kind of the problem. It's like when you first start out, it's like your first talent point, 1% bonus crit. I'm ever going to notice that. And the next level, 2% crit. 3, 4, 5. Then I can get, maybe an ability that I can click on. Maybe. It is true. It was pretty low impact. As far as when you're leveling goes, that is very true.
Yeah, I think the new system definitely remedies that completely, but Donovan is right. It is, between those levels, you're like, man, I would really, really like to get abilities.
I'd like to be playing an RPG right now.
I gained a level. I got 100 extra health, and I just don't care anymore.
Well, at these lower levels, though, you are getting new abilities every 4 levels or so.
That is true. You got to get it by your abilities. One of my problems with WoW is the respec cost. It's like, it makes sense to me, though, because it is multiplayer. Like, in a lot of single-player MMOs, like the original Dragon Age, I liked that, the first mod I ever downloaded was a respec mod so that I could shuffle talents around or shuffle abilities around. So, like, what the ability tells you it does, but you're not exactly entirely sure how that actually works in action. So I like
Fallout's a good example of that. Like Fallout
Borderlands 3. Also, actually, I really like Borderlands because it has very, very cheap respec costs. So you can play around with your abilities. You can do that. Well, with WoW, you can. The respec cost does get kind of high, but once you get into like rating and the high end stuff, you have plenty of money to spare for respecing. But then every spec almost kind of has its own set of gear.
Yeah,
like you can't be a DPS warrior with tank warrior gear and vice versa. You kind of need to build multiple sets of gear up, and it's like, especially if you're in a raid thing where you're sharing loot with X number of people, you're not really going to be able to build up that set of gear without feeling like an asshole.
Well, you could always PvP for that gear too.
Like a boss.
That is true. That's actually one of the main reasons I quit. I never did like PvP in that game.
See, PvP is where it's at for me. I only do PvP once I max.
Dude, actually, I take it back. I liked PvP, but not at max level. Because then it was just a gear check.
Yeah, it's just everyone masturbating over what type of gear they have, pretty much.
Yeah, and really, a gear check, especially when the PvP thing happened, like the arenas, it was just a time sink. You could do your 10 arena battles a day, lose every one of them, get just as many points as everybody else, and then buy your free purples.
That's true. I'm unsure if they remedied that, but it does seem like some things have changed with PvP since you played.
I did a lot of the 29 twink PvP where you twink out a lower level character, which worked because it was kind of it was the same idea, just scaled down. Basically, you have the best gear. Here's the best gear for level 29. You get that for your character.
And you have
29.
You have your mount now at 29 too, which makes it really interesting.
29 for me was a lot more fun than I did 19 as well. But 29 was just more fun because your character just has, your class has more of their abilities. Oh, actually, no, at the time you didn't have your mount at 29. That was still 40 at the time.
Yeah, it's 20 now.
Yeah,
it was.
For
your 60% run speed mount.
Was it Lich King that did that? Or was it Cataclysm that did that?
I think it was early Cata. It might have been late Lich King. I'm not sure.
I think it was Lich King.
Yeah, so I didn't like that. I didn't play at that point. But anyway, it was the same idea. Basically, you have the best gear possible for your class. So basically, if you have which at the time that there were whole guilds of basically people who did this. They have all their little PvP alts, and the Alliance and the Horde each had their own. So it was actually kind of cool because you join in and you open the opponent list, and you'd recognize a bunch of names, and you'd be like, all right, this is going to be a good fight. Because I mean, granted, it's not fun for people just leveling up because it's going to be a bunch of twinks with insane stats, like a level 29 priest with 3,000 health. That's just that's just not gonna happen. But when you get twink versus twink, which the actual requirement to get that gear was way, way lower. Whereas to get the best gear at max level, you have to raid for months and months and months.
Yeah, every night, every month.
Exactly. Whereas if you just want to have the best gear and fight with people with also other people with the best gear, just do the twink shit and spend a few hours in a couple days and you're done.
So I also want to talk about 2 other features of WoW that have been added recently, and then we can move on to our main topic. So the Pokemons. I've been doing the Pokemons.
Yeah, Pokemons.
Oh, Pokemons.
Gotta catch them all.
I don't think I've heard of that.
I gotta say, it is the new system for leveling in WoW is actually really, really cool. So what I've actually been doing the entire time to reach level, I think I'm 42 now with my monk, is the new LFG system was one of the things I also wanted to talk about. The new LFG system is awesome. It pretty much instantly teleports you to the entrance of a dungeon, and you only have to wait 5 to 10 minutes, sometimes 15 if I'm playing in the middle of the night, for a group. And oftentimes, I'll almost get an entire level doing an instance that only takes like 20 minutes now to do.
I have mixed feelings about stuff like that.
I think it's nice because, honestly, I've done the lower levels so much. Well, and then with Kata, they redid all the lower level stuff, so some of the stuff's new, it's kind of cool. But the way I've been leveling is I just play Pokemons the whole time, and then while I'm LFGing. So I get into a group, do that, and then I just go back to the city and I just fight like little monsters running around and stuff. It's pretty rad.
The reason I say I have mixed feelings is that, one, I understand. It sounds very convenient. It sounds very streamlined, which I like. A lot of MMOs are just like, oh, this is just here to waste time for no other reason. But at the same time, it seems like it makes the world smaller. And Jay, I know you for a fact. You came from the EverQuest background.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the coolest things about EverQuest, which has yet to be recreated ever and probably never will, is the fact that the world was huge, unknown, and dangerous.
Yeah, that definitely explains EverQuest in a nutshell.
There was no map ever. You had to know the zone or write down a bunch of the numerical grid locations.
EQAtlas.com is what I always did. There all those hand-drawn maps.
Oh yeah, it was all hand-drawn maps. That was the interesting thing. But you had the locations, which is your grid value. So you had to. I had a small notebook of locks. /lock was the command of the game.
And then you had your lock hotkeys, so you're just locking around looking for your corpse.
Oh yeah, and you do that. Yeah, if you're dying, you make sure you spam that hotkey so you know where you died. But the game was, I mean, there's no level ranges for most of the zones. You could be at a quote unquote newbie zone. You're fighting a level 10 bear, and a level 40 hill giant comes and smashes your face in.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Oasis of Mar is the zone.
Sand giants, they were there. The West Karana, if you want the hill giants.
And there was the Cyclopses in East Karana.
Oh yeah. But see, I mean, that was the cool thing about it, though, is everything was unknown. Nothing was data mined, and it made the world feel alive, but also cohesive. Because like if you wanted to go to a dungeon, you had to know how to get there. You had to go from here to there to there to there to here. So you actually, you learn the world. And if you just get teleported, because this also happened to me, a friend of mine got me to play EverQuest 2 with him, and I joined. And I had because I was a new subscriber, and I had a invite a friend bonus and something else, some third other thing. I had 400% increased experience gain. I was literally I would do 4 quests and out level the entire quest area. But because I was just kind of he grouped with me a little character, and we were just kind of running around. In 3 days, I went from 1 to 46, and I was tanking an instance. A dungeon, I picked Shadow Knight. I was just tanking, and I just realized, as I was sitting there, keeping all my aggro on all my mobs and doing my little tank thing, I realized I had no idea why the fuck I was doing this. I don't even know where I am. I was in the temple of
Something or another.
It was an area in EverQuest 1 that I vaguely remember. But, like, I don't know how. I don't really remember how I got there. I just followed my friend. I teleported from a lush jungle environment into, like, a desert in about half a second. And then I followed him across a way, and then there's a temple, and now I'm tanking a boss. Everything just felt so disjointed. I just didn't care.
EverQuest 2 seriously had a huge problem with how disjointed it was. I've actually, before I renewed my WoW account, I was playing a little bit of the free-to-play EverQuest nowadays. Which, by the way, if you guys haven't seen the tech they have, where with the facial recognition software,
it is hysterical.
If you haven't seen it, check it out because
it's amazing.
Dude, I want to see that. That sounds funny as fuck.
Oh
yeah, it tracks your face movements and makes your character do the same movements as you.
But it's really bad at tracking your face movements. So your character's face is like an MC Escher painting.
Yeah. It can get pretty wonky. I have a really good webcam, so I haven't seen it really do that like glitch out that much for me. But I think it's interesting. Like when I'm like sitting there playing it, like my girlfriend will say something to me like from behind me, and I'll say something, and then my character in game will actually have his mouth move and stuff. And I think that's a pretty cool thing.
That is kind of neat. It does add a little level of depth and personality to it.
Yeah, and you know what's awesome is EverQuest is a Sony product. So with the PlayStation 4, with that eye, we might be seeing that in more games, hopefully.
That'd be interesting. It was that reminds me. There's a technology with Arma 2 back way ago. That was new. I believe it was only on the PC. Basically, you have like a little camera you mount on your monitor, and you have a little hat, or you have glasses you can put on, which have little bubbles, basically that the camera can focus on. And what it allowed you to do is, which is a problem with almost every first-person shooter, you could look independent of your gun.
Well, that's neat.
So basically,
that's pretty cool.
If you were a sniper, let's say, because Arma 2 is one of those like military sims sort of things. Let's say you're laying prone on a hill as a sniper, and you want to look around the field, look for a target. If you're just using mouse look or console look, whatever, your entire body swivels. Which if somebody's looking at a hill, they're like, "Hey, I see that worm over there with a gun, doing a little shimmy." Whereas if you're using this little technology, your character can look around with just their head and just their head moves, and it lowers your profile. And I think it's cool because that's one of the most unrealistic things about shooters.
That'd be cool to see in Call of Duty Ghosts.
To your gun, you can actually look independent of your gun. The big thing in Arma also was because it has has planes and shit in it, where you could basically look over to the side of your plane or up and down without flying like a madman.
Without plummeting into the ground.
Yeah, which is when I first heard about the Kinect way back when it launched, I was like, if they do stuff like that, that could be really cool. But they didn't.
Nope.
Yeah, so that's sort of that.
Word. Well, I think that can wrap up our segment on what we've been playing lately.
Yeah, I guess now we address the elephant in the room.
That's a delicate way of putting it.
E3, everybody. E3 just happened.
Indeed it did, and I have watched pretty much every conference that they had. Let's get started by talking about the X-Bone.
The Xbox One, the X-Bone or Crossbone, yeah.
The Xbox go fuck yourself, as I like to call it.
So we know Donovan's stance on the subject.
I like to say I'm opinionated at the best of times.
You know what? I'm not sold on either console, but I also don't hate the Xbox One, the Xbone, yet. So I'll go ahead and defend it.
Our last podcast, we addressed what we really wanted to see with the new Xbox, which is now called the Xbox One. They literally didn't do a single thing we wanted them to do, to tell you the truth.
They did a little bit, but it was very, very little and pretty much got totally ignored.
Yeah, I really wish we had seen backwards compatibility. I really wish they didn't have the online checking in all the time. I really wish there was used fucking games on it.
Actually, you bring up the used games point. That is one of my biggest points for the Xbox. Because I think everybody hating on the fact that it doesn't have used games, one, is wrong, because it does. Just not completely used games, not, free willy-nilly. And two, it is just such a knee-jerk reactionary response. I mean, what games are you playing if you're so eager to sell your games immediately? If used games mean that much to you, what are you even playing?
For me, used games isn't about selling games, because I've traded in 2 games ever in my entire life, and I regret it to this day. And I never trade games anymore. I never trade in games. If I buy a game, I'm going to have my hands on it until the day I die, unless I, run out of money or something crazy. But
yeah,
for me at least, the used issue more comes down to the fact that I like to buy games after the price is dropped months later used.
I see where you're coming from, but this is a very hypothetical what if, because this will probably not happen, because this is kind of a pipe dream. But currently, the game developers are pretty much the wholesalers, and they sell their games to the retailer, GameStop, etc., and they sell it to us at a markup because they need to make a profit too. With everything kind of going more towards the Steam style of digital distribution or this and that, it could potentially cut out the middleman and basically let consumers buy wholesale. If that lowered the price of games from the get-go...
But it won't.
It won't. See, that's the whole problem. Yeah, I got bullshit on that. I see it on the other point. No, it's just like, I agree with you, but from the complete opposite side of the coin, I think Microsoft having a stranglehold on their own used game market doesn't mean the price is going to go lower. It means the price is going to skyrocket. It means only a few companies are going to, have permission to do it, which Microsoft has already said they're going to do. So, your small town, game shop, your Game Force, your Game Explosion, whatever have you, it's not going to be able to, your buyback games. You're not going to be able to buy any Xbox One games from there. But it's just, the whole thing about it just seems like such a slap in the face. Like, my roommate, my buddy Clay, he is an Xbox, right? And he only really has 1 or 2 games at a time, and he doesn't really have that much time to play them anyways. So most of the time, since he, likes video games but doesn't necessarily have the time to do them that much, and he has a very limited budget, he'll trade in games fairly frequently. If a game comes out that he really wants to play, he has no problem trading in 2 of the games he's beaten to get it. He does that pretty regularly.
I'll be honest, I used to do that too. I mean, if I buy, a single-player game here and there, a game that basically has no replay value. You play it once, you beat it, you're done with it. Well, I'll trade a couple of those in to get store credit and buy the next one.
But it seems like I don't see Microsoft letting that happen, especially with how tight-fisted they're being about how console trade-ins are going to be handled, how game trading is going to be handled. I don't see them making the market better, since they're already saying they're pretty much going to make it worse.
I disagree with this saying they're going to make it worse. I mean, they did say select retailers. It's going to be like Walmart, probably GameStop, maybe some sort of weird digital service with Amazon or something like that.
Well,
Best
and the other
Buy,
thing...
But, you can sell your games. You can get trade-in credit. And I believe they basically say you can do it once. You can trade the license once. So if you buy a used game, you can't then sell the game that was already bought used. But,
it just seems like it takes a lot of freedom away from the player, like a lot. It's something that somebody's paying for to get a physical disc of. You should be allowed to do with a physical disc what you want.
It also does, but they're also offering day one digital downloads, very much like Steam. Like when games are released, they will have a completely 100% digital download option.
But see, I call bullshit
Steam
on that whole thing too.
Games, so
but Steam also sells AAA titles at 70% off.
That is the difference. Steam offers massive sales sometimes.
All the time? Yeah, by sometimes you mean every day, right?
They do not offer used games. You cannot sell a game you bought off of Steam.
But on the same note, if you're patient and you can wait like a season, you're going to get the biggest AAA title for like $10, $15. And that's the other thing, too. I mean, I've had an Xbox 360 pretty much since launch. Like, when they announced the Elite, I went and bought one. I've had Xbox Live for like 4 or 5 years. And Microsoft, out of the kindness of their heart, sent me an email on my birthday. And you want to know what was in the email?
Happy birthday. Buy more shit.
20 Microsoft points. 20 Microsoft points.
Actually, there is. And so, they are doing something about that.
How kind.
They are. No, they are doing something about that.
Out of the kindness of their heart.
And
it's just I just feel like
half of an Avatar item.
Almost, dude.
It is true. I mean, in the past, Xbox Live compared to PSN was kind of a rip, except that Xbox Live was actually working, and PSN got
I'll give you that too. Yeah, that was a bad 3 months. Dude.
Yeah, but no, okay. To be fair, though, I mean, they are revamping Xbox Live to a degree. Every month they're going to give out 2 free games if you have gold. And they're not,
which is shenanigans.
No, they're not little tiny games.
Okay, are you saying that the games PSN has released are little tiny games? Because have you looked at the PlayStation Plus lineup?
Yeah, I'm actually downloading quite a few right now. XCOM's on there, Deus Ex, Little Big Planet Kart Racing, Uncharted fucking 3.
Are those all free?
Yeah.
You have PS Plus, they're free.
They are all free. PlayStation Plus rotates about 18 to 20.
And it's an awful lot cheaper than Xbox Gold.
It's about the same price.
Xbox is like a little bit more than $30 a year.
It's $50. They sell the year subscriptions for $50. Both do $50 for the year. It's the same price. Last week I bought a year subscription to Xbox Live for $35. Fuck yeah, that's pretty good. So, but even then, I mean, for people to be like, well, the Xbox is going to give you, like, Fable 3 now and things like that. Like, literally, I know I'm kind of an indie game nerd, but when Quantum Continuum came out, right, which is a game developed by the person who did the concept work for Portal, it was a third-person interdimensional puzzle game, right? Literally 2 days after it came out, or within the week, however many days it was, it went from launch to free on PlayStation Plus. Literally within the week of its launch. And it's not the only game that's done that. I mean, Sleeping Dogs has been on there for ages. You know, how huge of a hit was that when it came out? It was it was Square's Grand Theft Auto. I mean, AAA titles have been coming out for the PlayStation Plus since its launch, and they did, it wasn't soft. They haven't been quiet about it. Infamous 1 and 2 have been on there. I mean, huge blockbuster exclusives, and everyone being like, well, no, the Xbox gives you a couple free games a month. That's fucking shenanigans, dude. They should have been doing that for a while. They should have been doing it since, pretty much Sony came on as, a big competitor when they announced PlayStation Plus. And even then, now that they know Sony is a threat, the fact that they're still being like, out of the kindness of our hearts, you get 2 games. It just really feels like too little too late. It really does to me.
I'll give you that. But to be real, both companies' PR departments are absolutely horrible.
Yeah, 100%, dude.
I mean, in the PS3 era, Sony literally called their consumers babies that play with, lollipops, and then sold them a lollipop.
Yeah, it's bad, dude.
Microsoft's not any better. They really need to hire whoever does the marketing for Apple.
There you go, dude.
Seriously, love them or hate them, they have an amazing marketing team.
Yeah, they do. That's for sure.
Did you guys catch any of the content at WWDC?
I saw the new. I saw the new MacBook, the new Mac Pro.
The back cylinder.
The thermos of computer.
Oh god, that thing is so sweet.
Wow, they actually did it, huh?
Yeah,
I thought that was a joke when I first heard about
it. It's real.
It is so sweet too. The specs on it are amazing.
Good news! It's a suppository.
But I suppose going between Xbox and PlayStation 1, you have the online possibilities, which Xbox is moving to a dedicated server model, which should help with lag.
That's shenanigans anyways, because those aren't physical servers, they're digital servers. And the amount of data that a digital server can back up versus like physical hardware isn't even comparable. Like Microsoft's been called on it too.
I'm just waiting until someone hacks it.
Like digital servers are not that much, dude.
It's funny you speak of that hacking thing. it's they got the PSN pretty easily, and they didn't actually break down Microsoft or Nintendo's little networks. But that's really neither here nor there. It will help with lag regardless, though. It will be better than just peer-to-peer, basically match finding.
Yeah, and that's true. I don't like peer-to-peer match finding. Since I play so many indie games, a lot of them end up doing that. And it drives me nuts.
It's just so hit or miss with if you're going to get a good connection or not.
But Microsoft being like, yeah, we have 300,000 dedicated servers. No, you have 300,000 imaginary boxes floating on the internet. Like, that's what it is. It's not physical server towers. Like, the data's not the same. It just bugs me. I just think it bugs me because it all comes back to, I feel like Microsoft's trying to lie to me. I feel like Microsoft's trying to take advantage that most of the gaming market, isn't aware of how hardware works. You know what I mean? Most console gamers who know anything about hardware have PC experience in some way or another. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so they're kind of just abusing it. There's hundreds of thousands of dedicated servers, and it's not necessarily 100% true. Sure, they're not lying.
They probably do have a lot of actual physical servers, but no, they don't have 300,000 physical servers.
It just bothers me because, I was a Sony fanboy forever, and then when the 360 came out, I jumped ship. I think the 360 is a fantastic console. And in all honesty, as much as I hate the Xbone, if they made an Xbox model without a dedicated Kinect, I would probably get one. I do like a lot of the exclusives, but it's just... That
actually brings up the next good point, is the whole Kinect thing about the Xbone, which I think is kind of blown out of proportion. My big problem with it is it inflates the price of the console. Because the PS4 is going to be $100 cheaper. And I bet easily $100 of the Xbone is just the Kinect.
It has to be.
Because, let's be honest, that thing is a really good camera. We've seen the hacks and we've seen what people can do with the actual Kinect. And this is an actual refined version of it. So it is a very powerful little piece of hardware.
Has Sony released the price on the Eye yet?
I'm pretty said anything about it.
Isn't it getting bundled?
I don't think it's
fairly
bundled.
sure it's getting bundled.
I'm pretty sure it's not bundled.
Well, they also announced 3 price tiers, because they did say 400, 500, 600.
Because I'll be honest, I did not actually watch the Sony conference.
Yeah, there's multiple price tiers, there's swappable hard drives, but I feel like one of the price... I'm sure there's going to be a bundle for it.
Oh, there probably will. It's just, that is a problem that it is force bundled with the Xbox, so it does inflate the price. But I think the whole privacy concerns a lot of people have with the Kinect are just straight out paranoid.
See, I would generally agree if Microsoft wasn't shown to be one of the first companies to sign Prism. And that's period. I don't want to sound like a sheeple, but most of the time I don't necessarily buy into conspiracy theories that much. And I was like, oh yeah, they have a Kinect, but why would Microsoft, what would they possibly have to do with the government watching us or anything like that? Well, until I saw the documents signed by Microsoft saying they'd send information to the government. And then I was like, that seems pretty straightforward.
This is also Microsoft. They have massive amounts of military contracts. They are, first and foremost, the creators of Windows, not the Xbox.
Yeah, I agree entirely.
If the Xbone totally fails, they're not really going to care that. They're going to lose some money, but they're not going to go under.
Yeah,
they're not
going
to bankrupt like Sony might.
Steve Ballmer can't buy another yacht that year.
Yeah.
I can't add it to my fleet.
Yeah, but that's not. That was probably that side of Microsoft that did it, that signed that. I don't really know for sure.
But the point is, it's still there. Whether or not they have the intent, they have the ability.
I don't even think they have the ability. The first thing that happens, people are going to buy the Xbone. They're going to plug it in. They're going to get it on the Wi-Fi. They're going to. There's going to be people out there who are going to sniff every single goddamn packet that comes out of that thing, going into or out of. They're going to know what it's doing. And if they find out it is live streaming video, or if it's sending some sort of information to some sort of ad server, that we're going to know about it within a week of that thing actually launching. Mm-hmm. People are already paranoid about it. And they're going to do it. And Microsoft's not going to be able to stop them. So we're going to know what it's doing. The reason that the whole Kinect is always on, I feel like people kind of got misread. It's not the camera is always on.
It's the mic.
It's the microphone. It's so that you can walk into your living room and just say, Xbox, turn on.
Yep.
And so the government can listen to every word you say.
Yeah, and that too.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I think I'm going to go plan a group murder after cleaning my meth lab down.
Hey. You know what? Let's say this. Everybody listening, everybody right now, everybody out there, if it does turn out that they're streaming live 1080p high-resolution video from the Kinect to some sort of command center bunker with a bunch of people watching monitors, everybody take the camera, put it right there on the coffee table in front of your couch, and pull that thing close. And take your pants off and just give them a full camera view of sweaty, hairy nerd taint. Let's see how much demographic information they can get out of that.
That description was so good I could taste it.
Just a sweaty, hairy ball sack right in front of the camera. If they want to see us at our most intimate, let's give it to them.
Game on, Microsoft. I hope you like BDSM candle fetish. By the way, I'm into clowns too. Like, oh man.
The ball's in your court, Microsoft.
In a literal sense.
And then you check your Gmail the next day and it says, it's trying to sell you like rainbow colored beach balls. Shit.
Fuck me.
Touche, Microsoft. Touche.
Well played. Well played.
I think, honestly, in the U.S., we don't really care because most places don't have bandwidth caps. But there are some companies that actually do have bandwidth caps, as bullshit as they are. They can't get away with their console streaming video 24/7.
Well, also, Microsoft.
You noticed that.
I went to their Twitter earlier today because I wanted to see some of the stuff they posted, and Microsoft said that because it is region locked. And has the whole Ethernet, the whole constant internet problem, right?
Yeah.
Microsoft literally said that if you're not in the 21 launch countries, just don't get one.
Yeah, just buy an Xbox if you're in the military. That was a direct quote.
That's
they're admittingly cutting off their market.
I can't defend that one at least.
Yeah, dude, it all comes back to why are you doing this? What have we done to you, Microsoft?
Honestly, that's almost worse than the Adam Orth controversy, them saying that if you don't have good internet, buy an Xbox 360. It's like, actually, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy a fucking PS4.
Yeah, I'm going to get the next-gen console that doesn't expect me to be a white privileged guy in California.
Yeah,
does that sound good?
That judge just is like them putting their fingers in their ears, going la la la. We can't hear you. Fuck you, consumers.
With their conference too, that's the exact stance they took. They didn't even mention a thing about all the controversy on the internet after the Xbox One reveal.
That's true, and Sony really snapped it up because really the only thing they had to mention was not always online, allows use games.
To be fair, that's all they pretty much needed to say, too.
They could have pulled it. They could have put an American flag on stage, shit on it, and burned it, and nobody would have noticed if they prefaced it with allows use games, not always online.
Woo, America!
People still would have been cheering. You could have.
It's a grand old flag. It's a high
whoever the president of Sony is come out and just anal floss with it.
They're just like, we're doing Pearl Harbor again, by the way, but it's not always online.
Yeah! People would go crazy. Yeah, that is all that they do, which is why I say it's very knee-jerk reactionary.
I don't know, the other thing that made me laugh is, because I have, 2 people I know left in the Microsoft camp. Literally, 2 people. Out of people who I never even thought that they could say the word Sony without bursting into flames. But one of them was like, that Sony's going to make it so you have to have PlayStation Plus to play multiplayer games, So they're going to charge you to play multiplayer. And, I just want to say, you've been doing that the whole time.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? We still get Netflix for free.
Functional. Without the internet, an Xbox is hardly even functional. The 360?
To be fair, their main demographic they're targeting is basically middle-class America. And if you went 24 hours without an internet connection, the last thing on your mind would be, oh, maybe I can't play my Xbox games. Most people would be frothing at the mouth calling their ISP. You're like, what the fuck? Why isn't my internet connected?
Calling is a funny word for firebombing.
Also that. But yeah, it's like most nerds, which I admit I'm one as well, would be frothing at the mouth, pissed off at their ISP well before they were like, I can't play Final Fantasy 27 tomorrow.
Setting their phones to DDoS attack their ISP.
Yeah, it's like, really, if your internet is not connected at least once within 24 hours, your Xbox is going to be the least of your actual concern.
But it's just
that is the largest demographic, but I will admit that is not the only demographic. You're all right about, people who travel, military, people maybe in areas that don't have reliable internet. That is bullshit.
I mean, literally, one of the Twitters I saw was somebody saying, I live in Belgium. If I get a Xbox One from the UK, will I be able to play it? And they're like, nope, wait till it comes out in your region. And that's a ridiculous answer. Like, how the hell can you say that to your consumer?
Most major companies are so globalized these days. That is just ridiculously short-sighted.
Is the Xbox One coming out in France at launch?
Potentially.
If it does, I imagine that's the same version Belgium will get because they speak French. Well, half of Belgium will get the French version and half of Belgium will get the Dutch version.
It's just, it seems so silly to me. I mean, that's why I thought it was so smart that Sony even said, they're like, yeah, the PS4 is region-free. So...
Yeah. The funny thing is when they said that, people just basically stopped paying attention. The fact that they have... Like, most of the games they have aren't console exclusive. So other than the fact that they allow used games and it's region-free, they don't have anything to sell it.
I don't know, some of the PS4 exclusives are really good. I mean, or at least are looking pretty good. I might be a little bit of a fanboy, but Infamous is going to be awesome. Kingdom Hearts 3 doesn't have Roxas in it, or at least from the trailer, so that has the potential to be awesome.
I hate Kingdom Hearts on principle, so I will abstain from comments further than that.
New Killzone looks breathtaking, and I mean...
The new Killzone does look quite good.
Never did play Killzone, but they do look good.
It's just... like I said, I went from the Sony ship to the Microsoft ship at the 360, but I still ended up buying a PS3 because a lot of the exclusive Sony ends up putting out, it's sort of the, I don't know. It seems
Last of Us.
Yeah, Last of Us, another great example, even though that's PS3.
That game does look good.
It seems to me to be like a very Japanese principle that there's a lot of exclusive first-party titles. Like, that's Nintendo's logic through and through. They don't really do anything that's not first-party. But
there was some developer, I don't remember who it was anymore. I think it might have been EA, who basically said, there's no point in... Yeah, it was EA, where they're talking about they have no games in development for the Wii U.
Oh, yeah, that guy got fucking fired, by the way.
He did. Let's be honest, he went out in a pretty spectacular way.
Yeah,
but
he did.
He is right. He's pretty much right when he said, there's kind of no point in publishing on a Nintendo console unless the publishing company is named Nintendo. Unless it's a Mario game or a Zelda game, it really doesn't make much money.
And it's true. But I mean,
unless it's a bizarre hit like, the Wii Sports games or something like that. Unless it's just one of those completely off the wall, nobody predicted it to be this big.
Some third parties did good on GameCube, though, but that was quite a while ago now, though.
That's so long ago. Nintendo has gotten so far away from that kind of thinking, it's almost not even worth mentioning, to be honest.
It's just like, for me, while Sony exclusive titles won't necessarily be big, flashy AAA games, I mean, look what pretty much sweeped Game of the Year in 2012. And that was Journey, which was a PSN exclusive indie title. You know what I mean?
That was an in-house Sony... There's 12 or 16 in-house Sony developers, right?
Yeah, something like that.
So they definitely have the development power to really push out quite a few exclusives.
And I mean, if you look at the launch lineup from the PS3 too, it was pretty weak too. But
yeah, it was really bad.
Sony, I feel like Sony generally ends up just having really great exclusives, especially if you look at some of the companies working for them. Like, I understand that Insomniac is doing Sunset Overdrive, which does look sick and really does make me want to play an Xbox One. We'll get into that later. But Insomniac traditionally, Naughty Dog, it's great. The games they put out are fantastic. My big problem with Uncharted is Nathan Drake because I hate him so goddamn much. But from a technical standpoint, those games are almost perfect. In a really serious way.
I just downloaded Uncharted 3. I'm looking forward to playing it later tonight.
Just the way it moves, the cover mechanics, and even then, the multiplayer. The multiplayer of the Uncharted games are amazing, and they don't, it's not that whole standard Call of Duty style multiplayer
bullshit.
Yeah,
the bland been done 100 times sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, and Naughty Dog has really been showing themselves to be an incredible game developer, especially in the last few years. I mean, they went from Crash Bandicoot and now they're doing Last of Us. I mean, I can't even explain how excited I am for Last of Us.
IGN went so far. IGN even said that they personally thought Naughty Dog was one of the best gaming production companies working to date. That's a pretty big statement.
Yeah, that's not exactly a small statement to make, especially considering Nintendo exists.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty ballsy.
Nintendo, I mean, let's be fair, Nintendo's pretty much dropped the ball
hardware-wise, but I mean, if you look at
even Skyward Sword didn't even get really that much hype around it.
Yeah,
it did get a really good review though.
It's
the reviews of Skyward Sword were
critically.
amazing.
But I mean, I don't know. I don't know of any. I know a lot of hardcore Nintendo fanboys. I know of 2 people off the top of my head that actually played Skyward Sword.
My mom beat it.
Your mom plays every single Zelda game, though.
She's beaten every Zelda ever released.
Nice, #1 mom.
And then Mario. Honestly, I totally lost interest in Mario and with the Galaxy series.
Okay, the Galaxy series conceptually was stupid, but
the game was pretty good.
Yeah,
though,
gameplay-wise, those games were awesome.
I feel conceptually it was way better than it played. It played worse than Mario 64. It was so loose.
I don't know if I can entirely agree with that.
Yeah, I don't know. Just the control scheme, the physics of it felt so loose.
I didn't like wiggling the thing when you get near a star. That was kind of
that was pretty
particularly enjoy that.
I do think that the main problem of it was because it had to be translated into that controller. I do think that was probably the main problem. If it was actually on a normal analog stick that everybody's used to these days, it probably would have played a lot better. But I'm also weird. One of my favorite Mario games was Sunshine, which everybody else seems to hate.
Are you kidding me? Sunshine is bananas. That game is awesome.
I agree, but most people don't. You realize that.
It is party time. Once again, it comes down to a whole concept thing. Nobody wants to go around spraying shit with water. But if you actually do it, it's super fucking fun.
Most people just hated the hover mechanic with the flood, I think.
Oh my god, so good. But I mean...
don't get me wrong, yeah, that was probably my favorite Mario game, other than some of the 2D ones.
I think I fall into the disliking Mario Sunshine camp, unfortunately.
Did you also dislike Mario 64?
You know, honestly, I'm just not a big fan of 3D Mario games, or like platformers in general. It's just not my thing.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, 3D platformers
are
kind of a niche, and yeah, it's really, really easy to get them wrong.
And I mean, I have beaten quite a few. I've played a good amount of Donkey Kong 64, Mario 64, Spyro, all that shit back in the day.
Spyro. Ooh, my heart, be still.
I mean, it was a ubiquitous genre, especially in the PS1/N64 era, and I like 2D games. I like my Metroidvania. I like, Mario 3.
So some games just should be in 2D, and Metroidvanias are one of them.
Yeah, 100%.
And there's that new Batman game coming out for Vita that's 2D Metroidvania Batman. It's going to be fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
Can't wait. So what do you guys think? You guys want to go ahead and move on to the PS4 conference and talk a little bit about the PS... Well, we've already been talking a little bit about the PS4.
Yeah, I think I got it covered.
You mean, I wouldn't even call it the Sony conference so much as Sony just whipping Microsoft in front of a crowd. It's just all it was.
I still think the whole conference...
It's a pretty accurate description.
I still think the whole conference is built around the fact that they could say, not always online and allows use games, and nobody paid attention after that. Which it is a big deal, but I really think it's incredibly reactionary, and people are blowing up the way bigger of a deal than it really is.
I'll admit that people are a little upset, but I don't know if it's necessarily unjust. I mean, especially if you look at how Sony's been handling the whole thing. Sony's been incredibly upfront about everything. Microsoft's been like, we'll tell you at this conference, and when we do, you're not going to really get any feedback. It's just going to kind of how it is. But Sony's actually taking input from their audience and from their fan base, and I think, that's fucking
Which they haven't done in the past.
Well, we'll see if they actually put it into practice. They can take all the input they want. If they don't do anything with it, it doesn't matter.
I mean, it would have been incredibly easy for them to do
Both companies are very notorious for not doing that.
Yeah, but how easy would it have been for them to just jump onto the always-on bandwagon? It wouldn't have been hard.
And the mandatory game installs and the mandatory internet connection.
Like, it literally wouldn't... nobody would have been surprised. Like, in all honesty, if they would have done it, I think people would probably be less mad at the Xbox One.
They probably would have done it if they had the more time to prepare. Because I mean, the conference they had set up was already prepared well in advance, so they couldn't really make major changes to their lineup.
But I mean, ever since Sony first started teasing at the PS4, I mean, one of the first things people said was they were concerned about always on, and right off the bat, without hesitation, Sony was like, "We agree." there isn't stable internet available everywhere in the world, so we're not going to make it required. And to me, that shows a company that actually cares about its fan base. Whether or not they actually take the advice, at least they're not trying to slap me in the face when I tell them I'm concerned.
Yeah, I'll give you that one.
Like, it just feels so personal to me. Like, it really does. Just because the 360 was such a good console, and Microsoft made so many good decisions, and then just ever since they were like, yeah, dude, we're Microsoft. We're the console kings now. Everybody bought a 360. And if you don't like the one, fuck y'all. And okay, cool. I'm leaving. Like, done. No problem. If that's how you want to...
They almost had a Nintendo syndrome when Nintendo entered the PS2 GameCube.
Exactly. This is the exact same problem.
Yeah, it is pretty similar.
I mean, saying that they're being thick-headed about it, I feel like is an understatement.
It's very much an understatement. But, I mean, until now, Sony is incredibly guilty of the exact same thing. Both companies are very notorious for... Well, pretty much every single game development thing other than, the indie stuff. Any major blockbuster type development or the console manufacturers, very notorious about just simply, look, this is what we're going to give you and you're going to buy it. End of discussion. We don't care what you think. And it's up to us, the consumers, to show them that they should care what we think. But the problem is we have to show them with the only thing they listen to, money. We have to not buy what they put out, and a lot of people are just going to buy it anyway.
I canceled my Xbox Live subscription today. No joke. No joke.
Dun, dun, dun.
But it's funny to say that, but it is a small thing. But if enough people do it, we'll take notice. If the Xbox One launches and they sell, 1,000 consoles, they're going to be like, "Oh shit, what did we do?"
Oh yeah, definitely. And then you're going to see, we started to see game developers stray from the Vita because of the poor sales. I mean, that will easily, the Wii U for that matter. I mean, if everybody goes PS4, PS4 is going to be the way to go.
I mean, it didn't start with the Wii U, it was the Wii itself, and developers just jumping ship left.
That's the other cool thing that I like that Sony announced at their press conference too, is that pretty much every single one of the PS4 titles will be crossplay with a Vita. And that's huge. It's one of my favorite things about having a Vita. The fact that I can take, the new Sly Cooper game, pop it in, save it, and then pick it up on my Vita when I'm heading out. That's awesome. That's so cool. And, how does Microsoft have an answer for that? Besides watching me jerk off.
I've not seen that work well.
Smart glass.
Well, no, I have not. To be honest, I've not seen that work well. I watched one of Sony's original conferences back when they announced that PS4 is a thing. They showed the PS4 Vita crossplay. And this was pretty much real time because it looked horrible. Because if they had done this beforehand and touched it up, it would not have looked like this. They had some little game that they had announced, and they showed, here, you can pause this and send it over to your Vita, and they had live feed from the Vita. The graphics were downgraded horribly. It had ridiculous screen tearing. The frame rate was 10 frames a second.
They'll have it fixed by law.
But see, even then,
it's just funny to me that was them showing off, and it looked horrible. I'll give them credit for showing you what it looks like.
For me, it seems so different because how it is right now, it's amazing. One of my favorite examples, I love playing PlayStation All-Stars on my Vita, and I had some roommates who lived here who they used to play it on their PS3 upstairs all the time. And so, not even kidding you, I'd be sitting down here waiting for a game of, League of Legends or something to start, right? And they just sat down and asked if I'd want to play a game. And it would literally be as simple as me just turning on my Vita and accepting a game invite. And I was running, solid frames. There was no chugging. There was no lag. It was in HD. It's breathtaking. I mean, Jay was over here the other day, and I let him play around with it on my Vita. I mean, the port's perfect. It's great. And
it's definitely one of the best-looking Vita games.
And, even my roommate, when he saw it, he's like, wow, this is the exact same game. Yeah, it really was. And that's the same experience I've had with the Sly Cooper crossplay. That's the same experience I've had with the Ratchet and Clank crossplay. I haven't had it not handled like that. And so for me, if they can keep it how it is now, it'll be great. I mean, especially as
it's going to be hard to do though because that's PS3 to Vita. That's running on 8-year-old hardware. This is going to be PS4 to Vita, which is The Vita's running on the same hardware. The PS4 is going to be
yeah, it is.
brand
It's
new.
like there's definitely that big hardware jump. But if they're still going to be able to render in 1080p on a handheld in HD while streaming and not chugging,
if they manage to pull it off, I will shut my mouth and I'll be impressed. But from what they showed, and this was the conference where they showed it off, that they were trying to show off. It was their time to show it off.
Oh my god! Speaking of technical goofs that were absolutely hilarious, Battlefield 4 at the Microsoft. Oh, that was the time to show you guys Battlefield 4. JK can't sync to the cloud server.
Oh, my favorite thing about that was it showed just how awkward games.
Oh, not only that.
Like, what? They have enough money. Why don't they just hire actors and give them a script? People who have personality, put them on stage.
They really
who know how to hold their hands and not look like a creepy weirdo. Because if something goes wrong, maybe they could make a joke. Maybe they could get the audience laughing, or maybe they could
stand there and be like, "Are we done?"
And just stare.
Am I walking off?
Screen.
Oh, we're waiting. Oh, okay, no problem. And then once it started going to
on his mic,
I don't know if you noticed too, but when they got going, and oh man, did it make me laugh. All of the key mapping on the screen, like, hit this button to bring up your map. All the key mapping, right, was keyboard maps. It was all like backspace and things like that. So, yeah.
I didn't notice.
So it is extreme. It's one of two scenarios, okay? It's either this version of Battlefield 4 doesn't have Xbox One maps on it, which seems incredibly unlikely since that's a, picture image. Or somebody was just playing it on a PC with a gamepad, which is kind of what money's on.
No, they weren't even playing it on a PC. It was a pre-recorded video of somebody playing it on an early version of it, which, these games that we play are not made on the console.
Exactly.
They're made on a computer and then put on the console. So it was an early version that was made, and then they recorded the intro and then played it as a video. Like, all that shit they've done, like, this is somebody playing live. Yeah, none of that was them playing live. It was all just recorded video, which segues into the Killer Instinct.
Oh my god.
Combo breaker!
Man, what a shit show.
Don't get me wrong. I am pretty hyped.
I am winking and dripping, as the horse breeders would say.
I
actually just bought the SNES Killer Instinct the day I saw that trailer.
I'm a huge fighting game fan. I will play any fighting game, so that's awesome. Killer Instinct. But it's like, when they had the dude and the chick come up on stage and play, it's like, they had the guy with the fight stick. He wasn't actually playing. It was a goddamn recording, and they just had time cues of what to say when. Also, the totally unnecessary creepy nerd joke.
Just take it. Just let it happen. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
What are you advocating, Xbox? I know you're trying to fuck me right now, but please don't actually fuck me.
I thought this was 2013. I thought we were past that point for nerds.
It's so bad, dude.
Nerd rape.
Those two people just set back nerd culture 15 years. We're now back to the fucking... Oh, God, just, we're back in Napoleon Dynamite with the thick glasses and the... Hey, guys, you want to come over and play games?
I'm a girl who can play video games, but I'm obviously going to lose and laugh about it as he talks about raping my body.
Why are you stuffing me in a trash can, guys?
Girl would.
Yeah, it's like, thank you for fucking setting our culture back 15, 20 years.
You are welcome.
Microsoft says, no problem, dude. Just make sure to check in every 24 hours.
Yeah. Oh, God, that was...
You might want to look up next time, bro.
But, half the reason I watch these conferences is
hilarious.
Just how horribly awkward and nerdy the presenters are going to be. Because, they are. They're the people who made the game, or they're the CEO of the company. They're the people who are involved.
Dude, even local newscasters have more charisma.
They don't know how to deal with the public. That's not their job. So shoving them in front of a camera with a microphone is like watching hamsters running on a wheel.
Oh, yeah. Any live broadcast is just gold. Just period.
Dude, for how many times they fucked up during the Microsoft conference? We're getting pretty off topic from the PlayStation 4, but like, someone was drunk backstage at the Microsoft conference because they were not fucking doing their job on whoever was running the computers and the lights and shit.
Yeah.
I mean,
it definitely seemed pretty unrehearsed.
Yeah, and like, it's like, dude, you got like, fucking, hundreds, or not, probably not hundreds of millions, but millions of people are watching you. Like, you'd think you'd want it to be perfect.
This is the biggest this is the biggest video game conference thing
annually. Yeah, annually.
Yeah, this is the big one. If you get it right, you better get it right now.
Dude, yeah, like, companies rise and fall because of E3.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god, and it was so silent, like, half the time, too. Adam Sessler... Dude, that Adam Sessler tweet, did you see it? One of the first tweets Adam Sessler...
I didn't.
Oh my god, it was so good. It was so good. It was, this is Adam's wife. He's not getting service in the Microsoft presentation. It's the one place they don't want you online. Yeah.
Really?
That was the first tweet from Adam Sessler. And just like watching the conference and on half the games, just stoic silence. Just nobody just giving a fuck. It was, oh man, so funny. Especially after the reveal where it was even confirmed by media in attendance that Microsoft had employees set up backstage to applaud and cheer since people in the crowd weren't. Like, oh man.
Oh my god.
Man, so funny.
Like I said, I do love these live broadcasts because when shit goes wrong, you know they do not have the social capacity to deal with it. And it's so great watching them just, like, almost revert to, like, the high school days with their hands in their pockets, looking down at the ground.
Please don't laugh at me. I have money now. Like...
or staring at the screen and being like, I don't know, it doesn't usually do this.
It's not syncing to the cloud server. Sorry, guys. I mean, it's the one thing that's required, and it's not doing it, but... Battlefield 4, woo!
Oh man.
So back to the PS4 and the Xbox One. I mean, they got pretty much the same stats, it looks like, except for the PS4 actually has a faster memory. It has GDDR5 instead of DDR3.
It does have better hardware, but I've seen the specs. I don't think it's enough to make a huge difference. It will make a difference, but not a major one. I mean, you're pretty much going to see the same. I call
shenanigans when it's $100 cheaper.
It'll make a difference.
Better hardware hardware
for the price range. For the price range, yes, and I still do think Xbox's biggest thing is forcing the Kinect in there. That really inflates the price.
Like I said once already, in a very serious way, I would consider getting one if it didn't have a Kinect and if Microsoft wasn't made of assholes. those would
just a big bag of dicks,
just walking around flopping into each other.
Both companies are made of giant, just crammed.
I know, but at least Sony tries to put glasses and a hat on it, make it look like a face.
Now they did. Only with the PS4 did they. They were pretty barefaced. Here's a scrotum.
Yeah, I'll give you
in the PS3 days. Just a bald-faced,
oh, you're upset the PSN's down for 3 months? Me no speak English. Like, thanks, Sony.
Open your mouth, consumer. Let me drop my nuts in there. That makes you feel better, right?
So good.
Oh, it doesn't? Well,
so
that's
gentle,
all we know how to do.
Yet strong, like the hands of a prison surgeon.
Apparently, their actual good PR people were already all working on the PS4.
Mystery solved.
That is the only explanation that makes sense to me.
I would buy into that.
So wrapping up, who's buying what? Who's buying what? If you had to decide today, what are you buying?
Donovan, you go first.
See, I would like to say both in a perfect world, but I'm definitely getting a PS4. I'm probably not getting an Xbox One. I'll say it like that.
Well, why don't we just add in also day one? Like, this Christmas, what are you getting?
Day one, PS4. And I might go buy a Wii U.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that's
I mean, the Wii U is honestly a drop in the bucket compared to the other two as far as price goes.
Have either of you guys used a Wii U yet?
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. It's a little gimmicky, but it's not too bad. It's just like, really, that's what I took away from both conferences at E3, is here's Microsoft, here's Sony, now go buy a Wii U! Like,
So what are you buying, Josh?
Honestly, I am not sold on either of these consoles yet. I would not buy either of them day one. There seems to be so many problems, and it's just, the cost is prohibitive. The PS4 is a little better cost-wise, but it's still kind of high.
But if you had to choose one, which way are you leaning?
I'd honestly put the money in my pocket and walk away. I really do not want to buy either one of them. If I had to, it would be the Xbone, just because of the family sharing plan.
That is pretty cool. I do like that is a good feature. I do like the fact that as long as you're like
we didn't
there,
even touch on that.
Yeah, we talked about that the other day. Why don't you give everyone the info
Just a quick thing, and I do like that they've given us a little more information, not a hell of a lot yet. Basically, if you have people on your friends list for more than 30 days, i.e. people you actually know, you can link your accounts together as a family sharing. They use the term family, though it's more like good friends sharing, which is what she said.
Heyo!
Yeah, that's a bad joke.
Dude, I love
bad timing,
jokes.
too, even. Anyway, it basically lets you, since everything is done on the cloud, even if you buy a disc-based game, you install it and play it virtually effectively. It lets anybody who you are linked with in this manner play your games from their Xbox for free. Like, if I buy Final Fantasy 47, and then I finish playing it, and I'm like, Jay, this game is amazing, you should check it out. Like, right on, let me, load up my account, download it from your thing, and then I can play it without buying it.
See, I heard a little differently.
Really cool. It's really cool for single player games in that way. Basically, it's digital loaning of a limited group of people. You're limited to 10.
10 people, right?
Yeah, see, that I had heard it differently. I had heard that the 10 people you could share stuff up with too, right? Permission to do that as long as they were on your local console, not theirs. That's how I'm pretty sure
they can link digitally.
See, I know that you can link the accounts digitally, but I think if it's your game, if you're the one who owns the license, they still have to be on that local console. I'm not 100% sure of it.
I'm pretty sure they said that you could play it on your own. You can play it on your own account, because if you play it on the other person's console, why wouldn't you just load their account?
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to end up seeing how they do it, but I agree. I think the whole family. I'm pretty sure
they said that you can load it on you can download it on your account. It's basically like digitally loaning a game. And the other cool thing, which is this is neither confirmed nor denied by Microsoft. Let's say you buy a 2-player game, or like some sort of multiplayer game. Let's say you buy like a little indie 2-player
we could just say Call of Duty if you want.
Well, no, I'm much more to think of it like a little co-op platformer or something. Because I'm thinking like Rayman Origins. A friend of mine just bought that recently. And
so
he bought
good.
it over. We played it. It is actually surprisingly fun. I've never liked a Rayman game.
Oh, I love them. I'm such a Ubi fanboy.
Let's say a friend of mine buys that and wants somebody to play with. And I'm like, I can't afford it right now. Bills are tight, or I just don't want to buy it. I can, if he's on the family share plan with me, I can download it and play it with him without paying for it.
Yeah, I mean, regardless,
you basically have one free guest pass for every single game.
Like, regardless of how they do it, I think that's a cool way of handling it.
That is a very, very cool system to me, especially considering the people that I know. A lot of them have very wildly different tastes, and I'll play anything multiplayer basically. This will help me out a lot. I mean, that to me, that was an incredibly awesome system. Abusable, a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's cool. What we need to see, though, is whether or not they're going to have restrictions put in place to make sure abuse doesn't happen.
They haven't said a lot about it yet. They said that you can. It does. You don't have to. The family thing is kind of a misnomer. It's like, your Xbox isn't going to come with a blood test kit for you. Like, oh, this person's not related to you. You can't share accounts. And
I don't know. It is Microsoft. They got the money to do that.
No, because they said you can do it online. Because originally, when they first announced it, me and a friend thought, oh, you have to be able to physically bring your, put it on like a thumb drive, bring your account over and like link it physically. But no, you don't have to do that. You can link it completely online. As long as they've been on your friends list for more than 30 days. You can have up to 10 people completely online linking.
It is a pretty cool system.
I do like that. That is one of the hands down, no qualms with it, cool systems that the Xbone did do.
If it did have that, and like Microsoft actually is letting people like with their friends share, that is definitely a day one buy for me. Yeah, if that is the case,
I'd buy an Xbone. So if you had to force me to buy one or the other, neither is an option. I would probably buy an Xbone, mostly for that reason.
And I guess that comes down to me. Since I'm a pretty big retro gamer and I do my whole like retro shit on my channel or whatever, the used game market is just so important to me. I mean, I have over 90 Xbox 360 games, probably 3/4 of which I bought used. So honestly, I have to give it to PlayStation 4 unless that sharing plan works out as well as it sounds.
Well, also, you have to realize Sony did say since the PS4 isn't going to have backwards compatibility, they are backing up, their almost entire library of PS1, 2, and 3 games to cloud.
With the Gaikai service.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Would you have to buy them again, though?
I imagine you will.
Yeah, but I mean, look at the Retro console on the Nintendo. It's one of the best features. The fact that a cartridge that I can't find for my Super Nintendo I can pick up for like $5 is awesome.
That is true. The Wii's, a lot of the Wii gets its
I only use the Wii for the Virtual Console.
From Virtual Console, yeah. Then again, I kind of support emulation, so
that's another valid point too. Go buy an Ouya.
Yep, there's the Ouya. And by the way, you guys, the Ouya is coming out this month on the 25th for only $100. I'm honestly thinking about picking one up.
I've heard virtually nothing about it, but I also haven't looked anything about it, so I'll have to abstain from comment.
It can emulate any system up until the N64, which is quite cool.
Yeah, isn't it a Linux OS? Isn't it?
Android based.
Oh, it's Android.
It is Android. If it can do N64, that in and of itself is impressive, because even PC emulation, N64 is unstable at best.
Of course, legal ROMs, guys. Legal ROMs.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, of course, you have to own the original games if you're going to emulate.
Exactly. But yeah, I do own a copy of Paper Mario, and one day I was like, I really want to play that game again. I don't remember where I put it. Well, let's see what sort of emulators there are. And I downloaded it, and it just did not work. I mean, I don't know if it's just because nobody cares about emulating N64, but it's a hard one. It's a very hard one.
For hardcore retro collectors, the Ouya actually is a pretty nice system of having it, because then you can have all your games on your shelf looking pristine and beautiful, never taking them out of their cases, keeping them in perfect condition since the value is shooting up so much. Then you just play them on your Ouya. If the emulators are as good as what I've seen, it's pretty much the same experience with a more modern controller. I mean, I see no problems with that at all. And honestly, I'm kind of thinking about picking up an Ouya. So maybe that's my answer. The next-gen console I'm buying is the Ouya.
How hilarious would it be if Microsoft and Sony both completely lost something like the Ouya or the Steam box if it comes out?
Oh my god, if the Steam box comes out, that's going to be a meteor.
Just complete, just out-of-left-field meteor strike.
But the Steam box
destroys both of them.
That's a different talk for a different time and place. That's a whole other thing.
It'd be funny if both consoles just completely screwed up.
That'd be pretty good.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, I think this is going to wrap up part 1 of our E3 special, episode 2 of the Zock Gaming podcast. I am Jay Dubious, and joining me has been Donovan.
Yep.
And Josh.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for listening.
And if you need to reach us or have any questions, comments, you can feel free to leave it on the YouTube page, or you can reach us at zockgamingpodcast@gmail.com.
And please do.
We will try to answer every question that comes our way.
Yep, if we ever do get a question, we will add a mailbag section eventually, if any of you actually email us. Anyways, thanks for listening.
We're so lonely. Please talk to us.
It's so cold. We just need someone to love. Don't you know he lives in Missouri, damn it?
It's so cold here.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening, and keep an eye out for part 2, where we're going to be discussing the games that were released, or not released, but talked about at E3 and shown, and we'll be doing maybe a bit of a review on the developer conferences and a little more on how...
The actual software side of things.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there is a lot to talk about, too.
Indeed.
There is. So tune in very soon. We should have the next podcast up very shortly after this one's uploaded. Thanks for listening, guys.
See y'all later.